Good. Hey, Coach, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Got a few things here, and then we'll get it going.
All right.
Guys, I've had a good week's practice. Just finished a good practice and had a good one yesterday. They have great respect for Florida State. It's just one of those programs that you know how great they are, and you've followed them, and they've won a national championship during these guys' lives. So they're excited about the trip and playing in front of some fans. So I think they're talking about 19,000 fans. That'll be like a full house for us because we haven't been around many fans to start the season. You look at Florida State; they're very, very talented. The quarterback actually signed. Jordan Travis actually signed with Louisville with Lonnie Galloway, so he knows him very well, and he says he's a great athlete. He'd recruit him here, and he said that they had Lamar Jackson, obviously, and he transferred back to Florida, where he's from, with Florida State. But he said he can run and throw, and Terry's the best receiver we've seen so far. He's just a dominating player. He'll be a top NFL player. Then you've got Wilson, Gaynor, and Samuel Jr. on defense, and with a lot of other guys. But those guys are all going to be draft choices. So they've got a lot of great players as they go through it. Ray Vahasek, Jaquarius Conley, and Emery Simmons, all guys that we're watching through the week and hope that they'll be able to play this weekend. Still not 100% sure at this time. I listened to all the interviews of our players because I think that's very important part of their branding and an important part of their name, image, and likeness that they can sell themselves, because people don't see football players. They have helmets on and they don't see their personalities. And this is a very important part of their growing process here. And number one, thank you all for helping EZ yesterday. I thought that was really brave of him. And he asked Jeremy, can I do this? And I thought he did a tremendous job. And he's making progress. And he's so smart. And he's all academic ACC. And he's one of the best young people I've ever been around, and a tremendous player. So that's why you coach. That young man feels better about himself today. So that was really, really good. Greg, I heard you ask some of the guys about penalties yesterday, and are we punishing them or doing anything for the penalties? This team won, a lot of the players on this team won 2 games 2 years ago. So we didn't think, we had a thing at Texas, not our standards. I think Larry might have done something like that here. And every Sunday we had them all get in front of the team and do up downs for the whole team had to. And here we're trying to correct them individually on video in front of the team to make sure that the team understands that we can't do this. And then we're telling them we can't play you if you're not doing well enough on the field to take up for the penalties you're making. So we need to stop the penalties, and we go over them every day. But this team had been so beaten down with losses and negatives, we did not think that it was a good thing to just beat them down in the first year we were here. So we're not at that point yet. Offensive line had great success last week. I talked to them a long time today about can you do it twice? Can you do it 2 weeks in a row? We haven't played a full game yet as a team. We had defense played really well against Syracuse. Offense stood around most of a half, and then the third quarter, late third quarter, fourth quarter, they blew them out. But it wasn't a full game. Boston College, neither one played a full game. And then Saturday, our defense didn't get done what they wanted to get done, and our offense played as well as I've seen anybody play on offense a long time. So, and kicking game where all the pieces are there. We've had one mistake come up each of the 3 games that's hurt us, but we've got an outstanding punter. Grayson Atkins is an All-American kicker that transferred in from Furman, and we've got a guy kicking it off out of the end zone every time. So all the pieces are there. We got Michael Carter and Daz Newsome returners. So our special team should be really, really good for us before the year is over. Game in a row is great for our exposure, outstanding for recruiting. It's something we haven't had happen in a while. I'm not sure how long, but everybody gets a chance to see you play. So if you want to continue to be a top 10 team, a top 5 team, then you got to show it, and you got to show it every week. You can't talk about it. It doesn't matter. What'd you put on video? What'd you put on the field? And what's everybody going to see? And that's what makes the difference. Florida guys on this team are really excited about going to play Florida State. That's something that wasn't on the schedule. Michael Carter is, he said he got 16 people coming to the game. Kamari Morales said he's got 26 people coming to the game. So they got a lot of family members that'll be down there around them. Someone asked the other day about the 97 team. That team had 22 players drafted off of it, and 3 of them were first-round draft choices that year on defense. So hopefully we'll get back to where we look like that. We're not that way right now. We're a work in progress on defense and have some more experience on offense, and we're doing some good things. But that team was really, really a special team and the best defense in the country. I also remember it being Coach Bowden's 68th birthday, which is interesting as I look back at my age now and his age at that time. I remember the Florida State fans singing happy birthday to him at the end of the game. And he's supposedly getting out of the hospital at the end of this week. We want to continue to send him thoughts and prayers. 14 years of top 4 or better with 2 national championships. Nobody's done that. It doesn't get any better than that. So Coach Bowden was one of the best that has ever done it and coached in this game. And I keep that picture of he and I on the field that night in 97 in my office just to remind me of who we want to be. So questions?
All right. Thanks, Coach. We will begin with CL Brown. So CL, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned on Monday, and you kind of alluded to it then when you're talking about the 97 game and you and Coach Bowden on the field. You made your quote from Monday. You said that you thought we had finally arrived, right? Like right before the beginning of that game. I wanted to kind of expand on that, get you to expand. What would it take? What does arriving? What does that look like now in your second term with the program? Because obviously, advanced from when you were here.
Yeah. CL, the first thing I meant is that it was a packed house. The students were in there a couple hours before the game. Game day was there. We had gotten national attention on our program. We were 10th, I think, the year before. So people thought we were good. And we were considered in a top 10 group of teams. And if we had beaten Florida State, we would have had a chance to be considered for the top spot and playing for a national championship. So that's when we arrived. Right now, we're a work in progress. We're getting better. The ranking is ahead of where we are, I think, because we're not consistently good enough right now on defense. Offense hasn't shown the ability to do it every week. So we've got to do that. We got the pieces in place. I think this team over the next 2 or 3 years will have 22 draft choices, and it's going to get a lot better. But we're not there yet.
Okay, and last week we kind of talked about Sam being able to run more and how his mobility changes things up. But against Virginia Tech, he took the shot even when he was sliding. Against Syracuse, same thing, although it wasn't called the same way. How much of that is a concern? That Sam could do all the things the right way, even go into his slide and still end up, maybe taking a shot that could put him out of the game.
Yeah, CL, Sam's not going to run a whole lot in our offense. You're talking about 2 instances. He's probably run 10 times maybe in 3 games. He's only going to run when it matters. We're not going to run Sam as a vital part of our offense every minute. But hopefully people will go by the rules, and hopefully people aren't trying to hurt him. And when he slides, people will start backing off.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's go over to Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, on Monday, I think you just said it a few minutes ago, where you mentioned that you guys are a little bit ahead of schedule. Can you kind of elaborate on that and pinpoint maybe a couple of areas that are maybe surprise you that you're a little bit ahead of schedule in those areas?
Yeah, what I mean, Andrew, is that we're ahead of the schedule that I thought we would be on at this time. Um, it's early in the year. We've got to play great every week to win. So some people start acting like we're better than everybody else. We're not. This is a team that won 2 games 2 years ago, a team that won 7 last year, won a bowl game, came out with momentum. But we haven't proved that we're a team that's ready to line up and win every game every week. People expect that out of Clemson. People expect that out of Ohio State. People are talking about that with Alabama and Georgia, and this weekend, how big that game is. People don't really consider us in that group yet. We're a group that's done some good things on defense, that had a great game on offense, but we're not a team that everybody's talking about that they know that we can play a bad game and win. And it's still really interesting to me that we haven't forced turnovers, and we've had too many penalties, and we've won 3 games. I mean, that's hard to do, but we're not turning the ball over, and we're making some big plays. So, and I told the guys today, be honest, Florida State's looking at the video that we've got from last week's game, and they're saying we got to stop those 2 backs. And they're looking at our defense, and they don't have great respect for our defense right now, the way we didn't stop the run. So it is what it is. We've still got a lot of things that we've got to fix. And that's what I'm saying, that our publicity is ahead of actually where we are on the field.
I got you. How much a part of this process, you mentioned 2 and 3 years down the road, is learning how to play when you're number 5, but also recognizing that there's still so much more to do?
I think that's a huge part of it, and a big part of playing every week. This seasons normally are a grind. This one's a real grind. These guys, like all of us and all of the world, has been through the pandemic since the middle of March, and lives have changed. You've eaten different foods. You've had to work out differently. People aren't in as good a shape. I mean, I told the guys today, we are so blessed to be lucky enough to be playing, because there were times this summer that none of us thought we'd be playing. And here we are getting ready for another ball game. And I told them, embrace it, man. Don't take it for granted, because you see COVID again yesterday at some other schools, and just every chance that you get to play, embrace it, play your best, because there's no guarantees this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Alyssa Ray.
Coach, Sam Howell was a major Florida State commit, and can you just take us through your recruiting process and your excitement when he made the flip?
Yeah, Alyssa, it's different. Their coaches changed, and obviously our coaching staff changed, but we had some good quarterbacks here. But when I watched Sam, he was just so special. And I saw what we're seeing now. That was it. So, and he also was a huge name in this state that was a great player. So for us to get accomplished what we needed to get accomplished, we wanted to go back to work and start dominating our state in recruiting. So we thought he was a key for that, because if he came, then some other guys would consider coming. Emory Simmons flips from Penn State after that, and a number of other guys. So we felt like that he was really, really important for us for a lot of reasons.
Defensively, you were missing some guys against Virginia Tech, but those younger guys got to come in and get some good game reps. How important was that, considering you missed the Charlotte game?
Alyssa, it's really important. We missed spring practice. Then we missed the summer work that we would have normally had. Then all of us had some times where you stop work for a week, or you didn't do this and that. So it has not been your normal off-season and preseason routine. And you can't get them ready to play game speed without playing in a game. You can prepare them, you can teach them. A lot of people might not understand that, but they need to play. They need to play against somebody else. They need to play against a team where they don't really know what they're going to do. And they need to be able to respond in front of people and on TV and without their coach standing there with them in practice. You basically take their comfort zone away when they have to play in a game. So every snap that we get for the younger ones, it really helps us. We got quite a few in the Syracuse game in the fourth quarter. we were forced to play some the other day. We've got to play them more because the guys that were out there we didn't get to play many people at Boston College. So, and we're sure not going to get to play them this weekend. So it was tough for us to miss the Charlotte game. We just got to keep playing those guys. And I told our coaches we're going to have to trust them and put them out there because there's still a long season, a lot of grind, and we can't play guys 90 plays like we did last year, but they'll just get beaten down.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next up is Art Chansky.
Hey, Mac. With Florida, the state of Florida turning into another hotbed, are you working on a plan B? It's a night game. Maybe fly down that, not like the Patriots did at Kansas City. Has that been discussed with you and Bubba?
Well, it has not, Art. We feel like that the hotel will be ours. That no one else is staying at the hotel, and we won't see anybody else. We won't be around anybody else. So we feel safe. And we've had the Boston College trip was a really good learning experience for us. And we actually don't even eat together. We grab and go. So it's really different. Each of the players will have their own individual room. So we'll wear N95 mask on the bus going to the airport and on the plane going down and coming back. So we feel like that we've taken every possible precaution. And our players, every day we report to them reports across the country that are of problems, whether it's the NFL or baseball or other college programs, and they see it every day. And Art, we've just said, if you want to play, take all the precautions when we're not around. I know they're doing it when we're around, but we're not. We just finished practice. We won't see them again for a while. So they've got to make sure that they just do the things that they need to do.
Sometimes, though, it's with the Florida situation, it's hard to know where the infections are coming from. So you can do everything and still you're confident that you're doing everything you possibly can do, I guess, right?
Yes, we are. And we've talked about going down on the day of the game. And the problem with that is if you have plane trouble, you're late for the game. If you have bad weather, you have trouble. So it's dangerous to do that. It's easier with a bus than it is with a plane. But we feel very safe right now with the process that we have in place. Our medical team's done a good job.
Thanks. Is Sally going with you?
No, Sally's decided she's going to stay at home, and she's at this point she's not going to any of the away games, whether we're flying or going on a bus. She thinks it's safer for our family, and she wants to make sure that if I did get sick, that she would be okay and able to take care of me.
Thanks, Mac.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Greg Barnes.
Hey, Mac, had a quick follow-up to Alyssa's question about Sam. How quickly, upon your arrival back to Chapel Hill, did you center in on Sam? I mean, was it immediate? Was it like during negotiations that you started looking ahead and saying, hey, this is a kid that if we finish this thing, we need to jump on him?
Greg, it's a great question. It's kind of funny. I wasn't planning on Larry leaving, and I wasn't planning on them offering me the job, and I wasn't going to interview anywhere. So I didn't plan on coming. So I didn't have a recruiting list in front of me. So the first night I got here, my son Chris he's a recruiting guru. He loves the stuff. He's all over it all the time. And I remember him as we were taking the job saying, "You better get to Charlotte, man. That guy's really good." So that was the first contact that we made. And our problem was, Sam's really smart, and like every quarterback, he wanted to know what offense you're going to run. Well, I'd been out of coaching for 5 years, and when I told him what I wanted to do, he's looking at me like, yeah, I want to see it. Who you going to hire? So until we got an offensive coordinator in place, Sam wasn't coming. He wasn't going to talk to us, and that was fair. That was totally fair. So thank goodness that Phil Longo took the job, and Sam liked him, and it's all been really a healthy relationship since that time.
And also wanted to ask you about special teams. Last year, that was a area where you've expressed frustration that led to a position change after the season. Sounds like you're much happier with how that's going. But I did want to ask, what's going to change? What do you like better now than what happened last year, and how has Javon done with that group?
I see a lot of promise with what we're doing now. We're covering punts really well. The fact that we're kicking every kickoff out of the end zone, and when we didn't, we covered really well. And then we've missed one 55-yard field goal, something like that, and we missed it a little bit to the left. Daz had better punt returns in the Syracuse game than we had at any time last year, and that showed promise. Michael Carter, we know is coming. What we've done is we've made one critical mistake in three games in a row. And that's what we can't do. The good thing is, like the penalties, those can be corrected. We can change that. But the drills that we're doing are in place. I like the progress that we're making. The players are very confident on special teams. We've had some opt-outs. We've had some injuries, and that'll thin out some on special teams, but we still have good players, probably better than last year at this point, even though we've got a lot of young guys still there. And again, Javon didn't have spring practice. He didn't have any summer to work. So this is just like you're starting out, and every day is new. But I like the way he does it. I like the work that he's putting in. And I think at some point we'll be really, really good. That's one thing. I don't want to keep making mistakes, but I do feel like that the bones are there. The basics are there, and at some point we're going to be really good in that phase. And that's the only way you can have a great team, is be really good in special teams.
Thank you, Mac.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, let's go to JB Ricks.
Hey, Coach. Good morning to you, and thank you for taking out the time for us. I wanted to ask you, Coach, about this number 5 ranking, and I'm sure the players are obviously hearing your message that, your team and your program is not ready to be a number 5 team. You're not deserving of this just yet. But I'm also sure that they're hearing from the outsiders, as far as, maybe their fellow students or friends or family, pumping them up and saying, hey, you guys are the number 5 team in the country. You got to show up. You got to do this, that, and the third. You're trying to keep them humble, but I know they have to deal with those people who are putting them up on that pedestal. Through these first 3 or 4 practices of this week, who do you feel like they're listening to so far?
JB, they're listening to me, and we've got to be careful with. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's what people hear. People that vote have picked us the 5th and 6th best team in the country. So I'm not saying we're not deserving. I'm saying if let's look at it in game 8. And if things are still going well, then we are. I just feel like that really and truly there shouldn't be rankings this early. They're more for hype and media than they are for real. That's why I think the college football playoff started doing theirs late. And I've always felt like that's when it matters. We're undefeated. We've beaten 3 ACC teams. We hadn't done that in a long time. So these kids deserve a whole lot of credit. And the people that are watching them see the potential for us to be really good. So I like all that. My job is to make sure they understand, beat Florida State, it stays. You don't win this weekend, life changes fast, and you got to head right back to NC State. But so I don't want to take away what they've accomplished. It's really hard to win any games. So I'm really, really proud of them. And therefore the voters that are voting think they deserve it, so they deserve it. My point is we got to play better defense. We've got to eliminate the penalties, or at least some of them. You're going to have some. We've got to force some turnovers. We got to do a better job in the kicking game. So my job is to be really critical of our team. And a lot of times fans get mad at coaches because they're not specific about what they're doing well or what they're doing poorly. I probably in my past life as a coach protected players and coaches and everybody. I'm still going to protect names, but I'm going to be honest. and I'm going to give facts about our team. And there are no perfect teams out there right now. I'm watching it, and there really aren't any normally. But I do want this team to understand they got here for hard work, and don't take anything for granted. We could, if we don't play well against anybody we've got left on our schedule, we could lose. So let's don't get up in the clouds and start thinking this stuff's easy. You got here because of hard work, and continue to do it. Just like talking to the offense this week about our offense and what Florida State's going to see and what they're talking about. And the higher that number is next to your name, then you become the hunted. Last year, nobody cared about us. Nobody said, boy, this bunch looks pretty good. We slipped up on a bunch of people. That's not going to happen this year. So the guys have to understand that. So I think it's like everything else we do with them, JB. We just been very honest with them. They laugh at me when I say facts. You don't like to hear it, but it's facts. So, but it is true.
Yes, and my second question for you, Coach, is, throughout your illustrious career, I'm pretty sure that you've never had to conduct a program that had to display so much discipline off the field. You know what I mean? In order to kind of stay away from this virus so you guys can continue to play. How has this year's team done with their discipline off the field up until this point?
JB, they're really trying hard. It's different because we see them with our early morning practices, and then you see them if they come back over to watch video on their own, but then we don't see them at night. So they've got to be handling the accountability for themselves and their teammates with each other, and they seem to be doing well. I'm not just watching this virus and hearing our doctors. I know how quickly it can spread. We had our little flare up this summer. So I'm not one of those guys that's going to say we're out of the woods by any means. I think we talk about COVID with our team and with our coaches every day. And we talk about the guidelines, and we talk about the things that are important. And we've said, if you don't care enough to do what you're supposed to do, don't play. Go do something else. Don't mess this team up. But if you're going to be part of the family, part of the team, then do what you're supposed to do. And that keeps the risk really low.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's go over to Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach. You've spoken about how the defense maybe is a little bit behind the offense a couple times already today, and that's been a trend since you got here. What does it take to get a defense to where you want it to be, where it's a top 10 defense? Is it recruiting? Is it experience? Were there mistakes in recruiting before you got here that led to a gap in talent at certain points? I mean, how do you get there, and how do you kind of build that to where you have that in 21 or 22?
Ross, number one, our defense won the Syracuse game. Our defense probably won the Boston College game, even though they took a long drive at the end of the game. We had the interception and run back that put the game away. So that they've done some really good things. Last year, our defense played great against Clemson. There were other games that they played really, really well. So we're seeing signs. To answer your question, the thing that I can't answer before I got here, but the thing that you have to do is be really good on defense too deep, because you're going to have some injuries. Guys get tired. And right now, everybody is pretty much everybody's going up tempo. So you can have to play 90 plays a game, 75 to 90 probably. And you're running all the time because there's so many flares and screens and draws and deep balls and they make it hard to substitute. But when you substitute, you got to substitute somebody really good. And coaches are good now. If you've got a corner that's inexperienced, they're going to find him. They're going to go after him. They're going to go get him. And that's what I mean about inexperienced. When you start looking at our secondary, there's a lot of inexperience back there. So I think that's the biggest thing that we've got to do. We've got to get the Miles Murphy ready to go. We've got to get Des Evans playing more. He got sick for a couple of weeks there. So we got to get him back on the field and get him going more. I think he played 10 plays maybe last week. you've got to get guys like KJ Binkley well. We thought he would be playing in the rotation up front. Right now, you've got to get guys like Clyde Pender back and going. He broke his hand. And I mean, guys use their hands every play inside. So it takes you a while to get over that and get back. So there's just, that's why I really thought, because we don't lose many guys next year on offense, we aren't going to lose many guys on defense. And who knows which seniors will get drafted, and some may want to come back. That'll all be crazy at the end of the year to just figure out, you coming back, you going pro, you going to get a job, you got to get in graduate school. So we're talking about that now, but it's just crazy to figure out. We could have 51 freshmen on our team next year, which totally gets your numbers and your roster management off course. But I think that's the biggest thing. When we were really good on defense here, we were too deep. And that's why you had 22. We had second teamers getting drafted. And then at Texas, when we were really good, you'd have somebody come out and Brian Arakpo would come in. So, and here's a first round draft choice that's not starting. When we were here, Julius Peppers redshirted his freshman year. Greg Ellis and Brian Simmons redshirted their freshman year. And now we're having to bring guys in and play them immediately. So missing spring hurt us like it did everybody else. The Charlotte game really hurt us, because we would have gotten some game experience there, and not being able to replace that or get another game. But I think that's why I thought next year we will be a better defense, in my estimation, than we are right now, just because we're going to have more experienced players, and we're signing some really talented ones again next year that'll come in, and you just keep piling those guys on, and that's when you can just rotate. When we can rotate the front four and you all can't tell any difference, that's when I'll say we're really good on defense, and say next, and they're fresh, and you tap out and you say, hey, if you're a little tired, get out. I got a good one to put in, and that's where we're headed, but we're just not there yet.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
All right. Last one today comes from Jonah. Go ahead, Jonah.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned a couple weeks ago that you usually see the biggest jump in improvement among your team in practices between weeks 1 and 2, but you feel like you didn't have that because of the COVID layoff. Do you think you've seen that between the Boston College and the Virginia Tech games?
Jonah, yes. And in fact, when you go back and study it, we played good defense till against a really good offensive team. I don't want to take anything away from Virginia Tech. I think their scheme's good, and their players are really good. I mean, Hooker can run it. He can throw it. The back's one of the best players in the country. He'll be a super pro back. Tight end Mitchell was good. Trey Thompson. I mean, they got, and that offensive line was super. So we played pretty well till the onside kick, and then we got back-to-back drives and absolutely gave out. And that worried me, but that just shows what we're talking to Ross about. We got to get more guys. If we fumble a kickoff instead of an onside kick, and somebody gets back-to-back drives, we can't just give out. And I hadn't seen us in that position for a while. And they had 20 unanswered points in the third quarter because we didn't have the ball. I think we had it 4 minutes or something. So I did feel like that our team improved the most between Boston College and Virginia Tech. And there were just some times at the end there where we just lost our gas in that late third, early fourth quarter, and then we kept the ball from 10 minutes till the game was over, I think, to put the game away. But the improvement was there. We've just got to continue to gain our depth. I've talked about depth
and the
a
last
lot.
question.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, last question I had, just a quick one, was you mentioned one of the things you want to see improved is forcing turnovers. You've only had the one in play and then the final interception against Boston College. Can you tell me what you guys have been working on in order to flip the game, because that's ostensibly what turnovers can do at any point?
John, it's a great question. It's one that you look at every year, and there's a year that you look up and you forced 25 turnovers, and you coach the same way you have when you've got 2. I mean, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. So we talk about it every day. We have drills every day. When somebody intercepts a ball or picks up a fumble in practice, we celebrate it every day. We get a chain, a belt. We get a turnover belt just for it. So I don't think we can do anything else. We just got to start getting turnovers, and when you do, it's the old adage in coaching is when you get one, you get a bunch. So we need a bunch. We're not getting any. And when the ball's on the ground a couple of times, there haven't been many balls. We've had chances and we haven't gotten on it. When there's some interceptions that we like twice, at least on Saturday against Virginia Tech, it's one of them they catch, in fact. So we just got to keep doing it. It's you talk. We're not having any, knock on wood, but you talk those things every day because you don't want to just start harping on ball security after you start dropping it. That's crazy. So you do it every day. So we every day they get tired of hearing me say tip and strip. Tip a ball, man. Tip a ball and intercept it. Strip the ball. Strip it. They're sick of it. In fact, I can see them now. When I start to say it, they say it under their breath because it's like they're rolling their eyes saying, I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm trying to get one. The good thing is we haven't done those things well, and we're still 3-0, which is crazy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. And Mark, the other thing I was going to say that Coach
Yes,
Bowden
sir.
was 68 in that game, and he did have 12 good years after that. So for all guys my age in coaching, there's some more stuff out there that's pretty good. The
Sounds
old
like
guys
the-
aren't gone.
Sounds good, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all. Talk to you Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.